I'm Froggy, and here is a My Froggy Stuff mashup. This week, we have put together all of our custom Sailor Princess Scouts so far. What is a Princess Sailor Scout? That is where we have mashed up a Disney princess with one of our favorite characters from Sailor Moon. From Sailor Moon to Sailor Mars, we've got you covered. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. What if Disney's princesses could turn into the characters from Sailor Moon? We are going to transform Disney's Rapunzel into Sailor Moon using acrylic paint, fabric, ribbon, a gold-colored ring from a gumball machine, pens, rubber bands, a needle and thread, buttons, acrylic jewels, Velcro, fabric glue, scratch paper, and nylon hair from dollyhair.com. I start by sketching out a triangle on a piece of sketch paper. Cut it out, leaving a seam allowance. Use it as a pattern to cut 4 out of fabric. Cut 2 strips of fabric. Cut a long rectangle of fabric. Since my fabric is thin, I am going to double it up. I make sure it can fit around the doll's waist with about an inch overlap. Once all the pieces have been cut, take the long strips. Using a needle and thread or a sewing machine, I sew a zigzag stitch along the edge to prevent it from fraying. Fold the sides over and iron in place. Sew a straight line along the edge to hold it in place. Make a small pleat at one end. Place the pleat at the top of the triangle. Place another triangle on top. Use a needle and thread to hold it in place. Sew along the 2 sides of the triangle. Flip it right side out. Repeat to make 2. I take the long rectangle that fits around the doll's waist. Now mine is folded because my fabric is thin. I ironed it flat to make a crease across the top. Then I open it. With the good side facing down, I overlap the triangles just past the crease. Sew a straight line across. Then turn it over so the good side is facing up and sew a straight line across the top. However, if the material did not need to be doubled, I would overlap the triangles, laying them at the edge. Sew a straight line all the way across, then flip them, making a clean edge across the top, followed by a straight line all the way across. Fit it around the doll, cut a piece of Velcro, pull the sides apart, sew one on top of the fabric, fold the other side over, and sew on the other side of the Velcro, making sure the Velcro does not go past her waist. After I'm sure that it can close, place it inside out on the doll. Pin the straps in place, sew them in place, place it back on the doll inside out, and pinch the sides. Use a pencil to trace the doll's side, fold it over, sew on the line drawn, cut a long strip of fabric, fold up and hem the bottom with a straight stitch going across, fold the strip into pleats. I use an iron to make the pleats hold their shape. With the top on inside out, I lightly sketch the doll's waistline. Remove it from the doll, then lay it with the good side facing up. Take the pleats and lay them with the good side facing down, and use pins to hold it in place just above the line drawn. Sew on the line drawn, trim off the excess, make a small cut at the peak, flip it right side out, try it on the doll, making necessary adjustments if needed. Cut 2 rectangles of fabric, stack them, sketch out a place for the neck and slanted sides. Sew on the lines drawn, leaving the ends open. Trim off the excess, making small cuts around the curve. Flip it inside out, using the end of a paintbrush for some of the hard to reach areas. Fold the bottom in, stitch straight across to close it. Stitch ribbon around the edge. Use ribbon to make a bow. Cut small squares of Velcro. Sew or glue them to the ends of the collar. Glue the opposite ends behind the bow. Glue another one behind the knot, with the opposite in the center of the top. Then Velcro one side of the collar to the bow. Place the collar around the doll's neck, attaching the other side. Then attach it in the center. Then glue a button on top. Take a piece of white fabric, sew a red ribbon across the top, then fold it over and sew it in place. With the good side on the inside, I wrap it around the doll's arm, trace around the doll's hand, sew on the line drawn, trim off the excess, turn it inside out, make a few stitches near the thumb, to make gloves. Repeat for the legs to make boots. Sew or glue on a little ribbon at the top of the skirt. Add another bow in back. Rapunzel has long blonde hair. However, we would like it a little more yellow. So we carefully remove the head, remove the hair. We rerouted it with a brighter yellow. We repainted her eyes blue. To do her hair, I pull a few strands down in the front, run a little hot water over them to help hold them down, part the remaining hair and make 2 ponytails, sew a button onto a rubber band, then glue an acrylic jewel on top of the button, place them around the ponytails, trim her bangs, take a gold-colored ring from a gumball machine, open it up. For the tiara, tie a piece of ribbon around her neck to create our interpretation of Rapunzel Moon. And you're done.
Happy crafting!
Whoa! I can use a little help here! It looks like our Sailor Rapunzel can use a few more Princess Scouts. So we are going to transform Disney's Elsa into Sailor Mercury. We thought Elsa would be a good match for Mercury since Mercury has the power of water and Elsa has ice. So let's get started on a reroute. I start by cutting off her hair. Use tweezers to remove the hair from the inside. Using hair from dollyhair.com, we reroute with blue hair using the existing holes. Add fabric glue to the inside and allow it to dry. To make the hair lay down, carefully pour on hot water. Add rollers and more hot water. Remove the rollers. Trim the hair to make it even. Using a stretch knit called Performance fabric, I cut a circle out of the blue, fold it in half, then fold it again. Make a small cut at the point to make a simple skirt. Cut a rectangle of white material with the good side facing up, fold it in half. On the opposite side of the fold, I sketch a line. Using a needle and thread, I sew on the line drawn. Trim off the excess. Flip it right side out. Sew a back stitch. And to do the back stitch, I'm going to come through the material from the back and leave a small space from the last stitch. Then I go back in right at the same spot where the last stitch was. So you kind of just go back and forth all the way down. Place it on the doll with the good side on the inside. Sew a straight line down the back, trim off the excess, pinch the sides, and mark a line. Remove it from the doll, then sew on the line drawn. Once both sides have been done, turn it inside out to make a top with a contouring waist. Push the skirt under the top, and I would like for the skirt to have a few more ruffles. So I widen it at the waist, sew a few individual pleats around the top, tying and cutting the strings after each one so it keeps the stretch. Once the skirt is back under the shirt, I just arrange the ruffles until I get the look that I want. Cut a rounded triangle out of a rectangle of fabric, sew ribbon to the outer edge, place it over the doll's shoulders, and sew it to the front of the top. Use ribbon to make a bow to attach to the front and back. Sew strips of fabric around the arms and legs. Use the end of a paintbrush to turn them inside out to make gloves and boots. Reattach the head. Use wire to make a tiara. Add a jewel to the bow. And you're done.
Happy customizing!
Everybody, can you feel the groove? Grab somebody, let it go. Ooh, everybody, can you feel the groove? Grab somebody, let it go. Ooh, everybody, grab somebody. Everybody, grab somebody.
for another Disney Princess Sailor Scout mashup. Now, which princess is a good match for Sailor Mars? And the two finalists are Pocahontas and Mulan. They both already have black hair, and having a rich culture is important to Sailor Mars, Pocahontas, and Mulan. Sailor Mars has fire powers, and Mulan has a dragon with fire powers. So we are choosing Mulan for a mashup with Sailor Mars. After removing her from the box, I take down her hair, separate some of the hair in front, and cut it. I wrap it with a cut piece of a baby wipe, roll it around a cut straw, and use pipe cleaners or bobby pins to secure it. I added 2 curlers at the bottom of her hair, then we poured hot water over it to give it a slight curl, and make bangs. To make her uniform, we're using a white and red performance fabric or lycra. Fold over and cut a rectangle out of the white fabric. Turn the fabric so the good side is on the inside. Line up the folded edge with the doll's underarm. Mark the doll's hips. Sketch a small V in the center. Sew on the line drawn. Trim off the excess. Turn it right side out. Do a top stitch along the sewn edge with the good side facing down. Wrap it around the doll. Take note of where to sew it up the back. After sewing, trim off the excess. And I made sure to sew a bend in the back to help it contour to the body. Turn it right side out. Cut a circle out of the red material. Cut a small hole at the top. Fold over small rectangles of the white fabric so the good side is on the inside. Sew a straight line. Trim off the excess. Turn it inside out. Cut it in half to make 2. Fold them over and stitch a straight line across. Turn it right side out. And I sewed it so the seam would be on the outside to make the sleeves for the top of the uniform. Cut a rectangle out of the red fabric. At one end, trim off the corners. Then cut a long rounded line. Stitch white ribbon around the edge. Begin to dress the doll, tucking the skirt under the shirt. Add the sleeves. Attach the collar to the top of the shirt. Tie a bow out of purple ribbon. Glue a jewel in the center. Wrap a piece of white fabric around her arm with the good side on the inside. Stitch around the hand. Trim off the excess. Turn it right side out. We make the sleeves just as before, only this time we make them in red. For the cuff at the top of the gloves, give her a pair of red doll shoes. Glue a red bow on the back. Glue a piece of red ribbon around the neck. And bend a piece of gold wire for the tiara to finish the look. And for a little extra fun for this mashup, we are going to use Hook Fang from How to Train Your Dragon as Mushu for a little dragon firepower. And you're done.
Happy customizing!
We want to give a shout out to Aaron Stoltz. What's up? Are you gonna get your powers under control? Everything is frozen.
But look on the bright side. The plant is no longer chasing us. Looks like you could use my help. I call upon the power of Mushu! Fireball charge! Mars Fire Dragon strike!
All the ice is melted. Well, you know, I could have did that if I really wanted to. I just didn't want to show off my awesome powers because they are awesome.
Thank you for joining us for this My Froggy Stuff mashup. Let us know what mashups you would like to see in the comments down below. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to ring the bell and follow us on Instagram at My Froggy Stuff and the Frog Vlog. And we will see you next time. Bye!
Maybe I'm too taboo. If February